All right, welcome to the Criss FAQ. You'll have to excuse me. The Bay Area has been under a blanket of smog for nigh on a month now, and my lungs are thrashed. So if you're wondering why my voice is a bit weird, well, it's the haze. I'm not waiting to spread the word about Peter Criss's new album, Wigs, Knockers, Pool Boys, how could I not? And I've had to shut up for 237 days since hearing this album on April the 26th for the first time. You know what? It took 17 years to realize this album. As Peter said in a Billboard article, he put his heart and soul into it. And that's something that's clearly obvious about the album for me. And it's just an abundance of joy now that I get to listen to this album again. I was worried when the doorbell rang yesterday with my album delivery. I had to do a quick Amazon order to pick up the white CD. It's also available in silver and in black on vinyl as well. Check petercriss.net for where you can order those versions. They've got the official list of outlets that are able to provide it. I did the Bandcamp order and I was able to download this morning, now that it's officially released, the digital files. And just for those who care about details, those were 4824 FLAC available, along with the usual other formats as well, depending on what you listen to, which is slightly better, as Nigel Tufnell would say, than 4416 for a CD rip. So there you go. Obviously, some will prefer the analog warmth, and I've ordered the LP through Bandcamp. That won't be here until next week, because I do want to spin this one on the turntable. If I can unbury the turntable from all the books and crap on top of it. But for Peter Criss, I will. So I was worried yesterday when the doorbell rang with the album delivery. It's been a while, like I said, 237 days since I last heard the album. Actually, 236, because I did hear it the next day as well. I think I heard it 3 days running. At that time, the album was not fully mastered. There were a couple of finishing touches that were still needed. I was sitting in Peter Criss's studio with him while he talked about the songs and commanded the playlist. It was just he and I. He was running the console and queuing up songs for me. Initially, it was just a listen. And then on further listens, there was some conversation about the song, some stories. I took notes. My little notebook I filled up with scribbles. On the first day, I just took, I had the song track, so I just wrote which order they were. The first track he played for me, by the way, for anyone who cares, is Hard Rock Knockers, which has changed slightly in its final form, but I can't remember any of the specifics around that. So it was a surreal blur, and I was having kittens. My crib notes, which are on the front page of that notebook I just showed you, were pretty simple, and I just scribbled down when I got back to my hotel room. Strong, solid drumming that plays to the song, a big voice, matured, softened around the edges, melodies, those jumped out at me. Hooks, clearly those jumped out at me as well, as they should. Tight arrangements, and right at the bottom there, I just underlined smile-inducing. I think I'll probably say smile a couple of times during this review, and that is just my nature, and that was my experience. Again, this is my review. But I was sitting there grinning like a Cheshire cat. Well, Chertsey cat. Not a Cheshire one, but there we go. All right, let's get into the review. I think the strongest memory from sitting with Peter listening to the album was being transformed into the Memorex kid riding the sonic wave with Captain Cameron as my guide. Peter was sitting there in his control chair, tapping his foot as if he had an invisible kick pedal. He was rhythmically tapping his hands on the armrest of his chair. He was bopping his head along to the music, mouthing the words as the songs played, and he smiled. You could just see the expression of joy on his face as each one of these tracks flew by all too quickly. So I'm pressed back into a comfy chair, frozen with astonishment. I was more then a little worried that the moment blinded me or deafened me. So now with headphones on, I've had 7 listens, including one immediately preceding this review. The moment of truth, of my truth, has come. Long ago, Peter promised his fans a rock album, but as the years ticked by, it seemed less and less likely that we were ever going to receive one. Life happens. But in this case, promises made, promises kept. Peter Criss has delivered an amazing, vibrant platter of rock and roll. It's the full buffet. It's a full gymnasium of rock and roll. It encompasses a lifetime of living rock and roll as both a listener and a provider. And Peter's listened to a lot of music over the past 70 years in particular, all from the emergence of folk in the village through to the heavy stuff with Pantera of late, which he attended. So it's the abundance of elements that come from that lifetime of experience, making music, listening to music, and being passionate about music that really comes through. And those elements jump out of the speakers, but they're not going to be captured all on 1, 2, 3, 7, 10, 15 listens. There's always, each time I've listened to this album in its entirety, I've played the full thing end to end, and each time new elements jump out, new elements that I didn't catch in the studio in the moment, new elements that now, because I listen to my music on headphones, and I've got it loaded onto iTunes as well for when I go out for my walks today, I'm going to keep on discovering new things about it. So the album is a sonic gift that keeps on giving. So if there are 12 days of Christmas, there are 11 songs for Christmas. So let's dive in. These are not complete thoughts yet. I don't want to try and pretend that this is definitive, because it's never going to be. We're going to be breaking apart these songs and analyzing them as podcasters and modern music fans do. So the final version of the album kicks off with rocking rock and roll. It's the perfect song to kick off the album. It's an immediate, the echoes of, sounds heard in the past are present, like Kiss's single debut, which induces a smile, the vocal callbacks, the cowbell. It's a charming Jerry Lee Lewis-inspired rock and roll song that's creative and not pretentious. I mean, how much more rock and roll do you get than guys like Jerry Lee Lewis or Little Richard? A lot of those progenitors of the form. So I can almost visualize the gang vocals here as a joyful kind of Motown swing and thigh slapping. It's just really engaging, which is what drags you into the experience that you're about to receive on the 10-track if you've got LP, or 11-track if you've got the CD with a bonus track. But this one has a cat fan hooked on rock and roll feel good inside. It's just pure rock and roll. So, rock and roll promised, rock and roll delivered from the outset. Peter's laying down his cards here and making it very obvious that this is not one for all. This is an album where all those flaws that were noted by himself and others with the previous release have been put on a checklist to check against for this one. So, In the Dark, by far it's in my top 3. I don't have a favorite on this album yet. A definitive one song that I can say that is my favorite. So I always do things with 3s when I talk about Peter, and In the Dark is in that top 3. It's pure sex. It's oozing sensuality with its throbbing bass line and beat. You can see hints of a sensuous hip swinging in the dark, and Peter's got an equally lusty vocal that heightens the sense of unobtainable yearning. A musical highlight is very clearly the tasty solo, and then Billy Sheehan letting rip with a pulsating bass break. So Billy is allowed to be Billy, very much Billy. It's almost, kind of similar to when Billy first worked with David Lee Roth, someone of that stature, for Eat 'em and Smile. Just the broadness of material. David at that time was all over the place stylistically, but it all came together in a unified album, and that's a little bit similar to what Peter's done here. That he's explored different styles, all within rock and roll as a broader genre, to give you a broad palette of sounds and flavors to listen to. But in the Dark is just simply outstanding writing and arrangement for me. The ending, damn. You have to listen to it to see what I'm talking about for that one. For the Money. Yeah, this is a little bit more of I guess it's a throwback. It's another one that illustrates the lifetime of lessons in music, and it's a movie and a song from the very familiar intro. Yeah, recognize that? To the School of Bob Ezrin theatrical soundscape. Drums exploding with obvious inspiration, the guitar work, the background vocals blend to deliver a driving hard rocker with clear R&B influence. And that is very rock and roll for my ears. I just got to warn you, if you listen to this in your car, watch this song, because you're going to break the speed limit. It's going to be one of those driving songs that can get you a ticket. But the key moment is the drum and bass break on this one. The song's catchy. It's enhanced by the backing vocals, and you can take that to the bank. Now, backing vocals play an important part on this album. They add a lot of color, they add a lot of texture, and like Kiss albums, Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun, the second trinity of originals, backing vocals played a very important part on that. And they brought in guys like Ray Simpson. There were the Kissettes, basically. There were a couple of girl voices there as well that really helped deliver the rock and roll vibe on those albums. And they're not high voices here, but they're very complementary stylistically. Okay, the next song is Murder. And it's a gritty observation of street life. This one's quite similar to Criss Cat #1 type material, with a plaintive vocal and just bottled rage at the waste of lives on the street. If I have to pick musical analogies from my wheelhouse, I'm saying that there are elements of All Along the Watchtower meets Blue Moon over Brooklyn that seem to collide and combine to deliver that message. It's a very, very good song. That's definitely in the top half of my picks as well. Another major favorite, and again, I've got a story. I'm not going to tell it, but it's for me. I know why this resonates so much with me, and it's Walking on Water. And we've hopefully all experienced the sort of feeling that this spiritual song encapsulates. And if not, I think it's something that we all long for, a feeling of grace, not necessarily in the religious sense, but just of coming to terms with and relief and peace. It's got elements of Beatles and perhaps even a touch of Seattle influencing it, to combine with a very emotional filled vocal and an almost waltz-like manner. Paul Schaefer's Hammond hammering home the emotion is a key part of this one. But Peter wears his heart on his sleeve, and his inspiration is clear, about beating cancer. Imagine, I can't. I know the relief of loved ones beating cancer, and that is a feeling that I get out of Walking on Water, clearly, but it comes across with passion, grace, and gratitude for that. So it's not about ego. It's not about being lifted up in a selfish way. It's got a soaring guitar solo that's understated. That helps keep the track fully grounded. So emotionally and musically, this one really combines into an utterly gorgeous song. Congratulations, Peter, on this in particular for its creativity. It really is next level.
Oh, hey, you're still here, watching or listening. Why don't you hit that subscribe button or click the like one? And if you want even more, click on the join button on YouTube. Thanks for your support.
As is the next one, Creepy Crawlers. It was the first single. It was the perfect first single. What A&R man wouldn't have seen a Creepy Crawler type song on a Kiss-related release with Halloween coming and not have said, oh, let's make that the first single from the album? It was a no-brainer. So glad his people knew that, and they came up with some visuals for it as well that were very cool. But, even back in the studio, I was listening to this one, and I was like, Alice Cooper, take note. But this one goes off in a little bit of a different direction. The spiders in the might may cause fright, but creepy crawlers can come in many guises. It's not all about little spiders. Peter's creativity is unrestricted, and he's clearly having fun throughout this album. You can hear the laughs, you can hear the mood, you can hear it in the vocals. But the catchy chorus on this one really provides a nice contrast overall to something that is quite different. And I'm still pretty sure that ending laugh is going to become a ringtone. Someone's going to do that. So again, very creative. Everyone's heard that one by now, hopefully, as the single, or at least parts of it. Justice. Now, I thought that one dated back a little bit to perhaps Psycho Circus era. Don't know. Have to hopefully get a chance to ask Peter that. No, or someone will in an interview. But it's, justice is supposed to be blind. Justice is supposed to judge the crime and not the person. But this one's a seething indictment that notes that justice often looks the other way for certain parties, and justice is not always bound to criminal accountability, but other interactions people endure in their lives. Neither are always fair, and some game the system or cheat or lie, and with its help, they're protected while victims are betrayed. So this one's, rightfully with the energy of the message, powered by scorching guitar and drums. It seethes, it rages with emotion. John 5 is perfect as the primary guitarist, I believe, on this one, or lead work anyway, unleashing one of his signature streams as a sonic exclamation point. So very, very good song, very powerful, very dynamic. But also meaningful. And then you get into kind of the very tongue-in-cheek, very Kiss-like, cheaper to keep her. I think some people are going to take that one way or the other, and that's perfectly fine. But this one has a twist in the plot with it's got a cynically angry vocal, painting a picture of the story while delivering a lesson in love. So, give it a listen before you judge it by its title. It's got great backing vocals, again, to paint the full scene. And these could be, chicks from the 1950s projects wagging their fingers at the boy who thought otherwise. So that makes it very fun. Another standout track is Sugar. And Sugar, again, that's going in the top 3. Oh, wait, no, I've got 11 songs in the top 3 already. All right, they're all going in the top 3. Everyone's number one. But welcome to the Hard Rock Lounge. This song takes the tone down a notch, giving a tempo change to drive the album forward, so you're getting shifts, you're getting dynamic changes, both in style and in tempos. So it's got a more laid-back vibe, but Peter's expressive vocal, really kind of pays homage in a way to Sinatra and some of those singers of the past, 50s and 60s primarily. And Paul Schaefer's given the freedom of expression and a bit of a spotlight on this song. So Peter is letting his players, show their worth. So, kudos again to Peter for that, for a solo album in particular, to be using those players fully, but also giving them the respect. And that's an important part of it. Rubberneckin'. Most fun track on the album by far, because it's fun, it's playful, and it's way outside the Peter Criss box. We want to put Peter Criss in a certain box and say, oh, we expect a raspy voice, a balladeer, a raspy voice, Bob Seger-like rock and roll. No, there's a lot more to Peter Criss than any box you can put him in. That's what makes this album so refreshing. It's a song like this, but it's also a very serious song. Road Crew. Think about Road Crew and how critically important they are to a rock and roll band, and how hard they work and what they go through while the guys, play the music and go off to their hotel room. Well, that's Peter Criss on harmonica. And wait. Let's look at the credits here. Peter Criss on lead and background vocals, drums and percussion. Should have said harmonica as well on those credits. So, slide guitar by Johnny Five, and it's got a bit of Johnny Cash chug to it. It's a little bit like Beth in a way, at least in Beth's sentiment, in that someone's longing for home, but they can't get home right now because me and the boys are busy moving the show on to the next town. That sort of emotion. But Peter delivers it really well. And it's one of the best dynamic shifts that really changes the overall feel of the album, in that he hasn't just given you a heavy metal album. This is a rock and roll album. This is a Peter Criss rock and roll album. And again, it's important to differentiate between them. Is it as heavy as, say, Criss in parts? Is it as rock and roll as Out of Control or Let Me Rock You? Yes. Is it have elements that parallel his 1978 solo album? Yes. Are there parallels with Kiss? Yes. It's Peter Criss, and all of those things can be true at once, and this album represents that truth for me. So the final track, again, I believe I mentioned earlier that this was the first song he played for me, and now it's sadly relegated to a CD bonus track, a digital bonus track, and isn't on the vinyl version of the album. Oh, hopefully he'll talk about that. Why is it a bonus track? Hopefully they also do a 7-inch single and use this as a B-side on it. I think that would be really fun, but that's not in my lane. But Peter did mention this song a long time ago, a long time ago, in a lifetime far, far away, back when he was promoting his autobiography. And it's big and bouncy. Guitar riffs, powerful vocals. It's like a kid grinning, it's got all that sexual innuendo, and some of it's pretty obvious as well. But it's not vulgar. It's fun. And the answering vocals are great. The joy in his voice here is evident. It's got a party-like vibe. The first song that really popped to mind was Poison's Nothing But a Good Time. Yeah, again, that sort of song is what this one really came across to me as. And this one's got bombastic drums that keep the song firmly rooted. It's a heck of a creative effort. So, yeah, innuendo, not vulgar, but fun. And that's what I needed from this album. Fun lyrics, catchy riffs, pounding beats, strong vocals, rock-solid bass, and a smile. I'm still smiling. I'm not going to bullshit anyone. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to spin this. If I didn't think it was good or if I had issues with it, I would have said that in April. I did not have any issues. I thoroughly enjoyed it then. I was amazed. I'm still amazed. I'm holding this album from Peter Criss in 2025 after a year of pain, after a year of mixed emotions, where we've had the Kennedy Center Honors, which are an incredible honor for any band to receive. 2 Aces passing, but now we have something good for which to end the year. An amazing album, a happy album, a fun album, and a man who made a promise to his fans that he was going to do a rock and roll album, and has delivered. It's solid. Each listener is going to have their own tastes and things to focus in on, so opinions vary. If you get nothing out of this, I hope you get my enthusiasm, because that's really what it is. I hope you get the enthusiasm to give it a few listens. If it doesn't grab you on the first listen, remember that's not always the case. And maybe it won't. That's fine. But for 43 minutes, I forgot about work. I forgot about life. I forgot about, everything that's outside that door and outside of the headphones that were on. And all I did was smile and grin. And he delivered on that promise. And for me, he even exceeded expectations. And that's saying a lot as a Cat fan. So I give this 5 stars. Just to read the credits quickly. Lyrics by Peter Criss, music written and arranged by Peter Criss, music co-written by Mike McLaughlin. I interviewed Mike for a different project on the 30th anniversary of the final show of the Bad Boys tour, which Mike was a part of back then. He has a very long history with Peter, but he's also a fantastic guitarist whose game has really been raised. He's not been off the radar. The guy is an incredible player, an incredible talent, and it really comes through on this album as well. So congratulations to Michael as well. So rhythm and lead guitars, Mike on the vast majority of the album. Johnny Five is on tracks 6, 7, and 10, which are Creepy Crawlers, Justice, and Rubberneckin'. You get Billy Sheehan on bass on all songs but track number 8, which is Cheaper to Keep Her, which is Matt Montgomery. Matt also did the artwork and design for that. He did a fantastic job on the design. We'll just open up that. And that was the hype sticker. We're going to see that on a t-shirt, I hope. I'm sure. Let's see a color version of that as well. Nice little bit of physical graffiti type pictures of the band, or the players as such. Any other last details before I shut up? Oh yes, let's not forget, it was produced by Barry Pointer and Peter Criss, and Barry has done a fantastic job on the production of this album. The cymbals shimmer. The separation is all good. Everything is perfectly balanced. All of the elements that so far I've noted sound great. It's well recorded, well produced. It was mastered, which I just want to make sure I don't forget anyone. Yeah, I nearly forgot Paul Schaefer, obviously, on piano and B3. Additional background vocals by Dennis Collins, Sharon Collins, and Kat Manning. Produced and engineered and mixed by Barry. Mastered by Ryan Smith for Sterling Sound. So, Kiss fans, went back to Sterling Sound, where George Moreno once did a lot of Kiss albums and such. And, of course, this album is dedicated to Ace Frehley, Bill Aucoin, Sean Delaney, and Stan Penridge. Always classy, the Catman. So, pick it up. It's up on iTunes now. Again, go to petercriss.net for all official places where it can be purchased, Amazon included, and give it a chance. I hope it's not the bookend to Peter's career, but if it is, it's a glorious bookend. It really is a fantastic album. So I do hope that you enjoy it as well. Thanks for joining me.